All right, guys, the time has finally come when I give you guys a rundown of how the process was for me and, joining the union as an apprentice, going in as a pipe fitter apprentice. I know that is a new year, and a lot of you guys might be looking into this career or already in the process. And let me just say that it's definitely worth it. So, we are actually going to take this to the very beginning to when I first applied to my local union. So, back in May of 2023, I saw an ad on Facebook that the union, my local union, was looking for applicants. It said the dates and time and the time frame to go pick up these applications. I just knew as early as possible I had to get this application. So I go and grab the application, meet the training director, shake his hand, and go on my way. Like any application, this one had things I had to bring in. For example, my high school diploma or a GED. Do you have any certificates that might help you? They also needed 3 reference letters. I was just so excited to get the ball rolling. I got all those things done in literally just one day. So of course, on that same week, I dropped off my application. Mind you guys, we are still in May of 2023. So in late May, I was scheduled to take my aptitude test. Before I go deep into the process of how the aptitude test went and what it requires, just know that every local is different. They could have different way of testing, the applicants. I am simply just giving you guys my experience on how it is in my local. That's why I would advise you to call ahead and ask what kind of tests are you going to be given. I actually did. I called them and asked them, hey, what kind of tests are we taking? And they were very nice. The people in the front desk were very nice. They actually gave me all the information I needed and to prepare. There was actually 2 tests that we were given. The first test being the Bennett Mechanical, and the second part of this test being basic math. So let's begin with the Bennett Mechanical. That test is built just to see how mechanically inclined you guys are. So you could say in a way you got to use your common sense when taking this Bennett mechanical test. Like I'll give you an example. There was a page where it showed gears, a gear at the bottom and a gear at the top. If this bottom gear is turning this way, which way will the top turn? Things like that. Another example I can give you is there was, I believe, 2 tanks filled with water with 2 different size holes, and it showed, it asked which tank will empty the fastest. And once again, they just want to see how mechanically inclined you are as a person. I'm actually going to give you guys some of the tools that I actually used on the Bennett mechanical test. There is this app on Android and on iPhones, and it's called Bennett Test. I will mention that it is free on Android, but it's $1 on the iPhone. So with that being said, I linked down below where you could guys check out a website, like a free course you guys can take that I saw was kind of similar to the Bennett mechanical test, like on where I took it in my local. But I gotta say that this app called Bennett Test is the most accurate that I have seen. By the way, all this information will be listed down below in the descriptions for you guys. This is basically a tool that will help you, better prepare yourself for the aptitude test. And now moving along to the math portion of this test, and that is some basic math. So what I received on this section of the test is basically questions asking me if I know how to read a tape. So it would give me like an image with an arrow pointing like at a fraction, and I would have to write, oh, it's pointing to the half inch, or it's pointing to the inch and a quarter. Let me mention this to you guys right now. I have taken this test before back in 2022. Unfortunately, I failed, this aptitude test. So mind you, I knew in a way what I was expecting. And I knew if I got this opportunity again, I knew I am going to study even harder. I'm only telling you this because I didn't know how to read a tape. I honestly did not know how to read a tape. So I will explain to you guys how I better myself in that section. So this math test is going to give you, of course, what I just mentioned, how to read a tape, and of course some basic math, which is, adding, subtracting, multiplication, division, all the good stuff. It will also give you adding fractions, subtracting fractions, multiplying fractions, dividing fractions. It would also give you adding decimals, dividing decimals, subtracting decimals, multiplying decimals. So let me give you guys some of the tools that I used to help me in this, math section. Let's first start off with how I learned how to read a tape. Something that helped me, learn how to read a tape is embedding it in my head every single day. And you guys are probably wondering, how did you do that? It's very simple what I did. I went onto Google, I searched up an inch on a tape where it shows the fractions. And what I did was set that as my lock screen. Something we do as people is unlock our phone 150 to 200 times a day or even more. So what I told myself is, before I unlock my phone, I have to go over the inch. Before unlocking my phone, I will look at my phone and be like 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, 1/4, 3/4, half, 1/16, 3/16, 5/16, 7/16, 9/16, 11/16, 13/16, 15/16. And I would do that every single time up until the test. And trust me, it was already embedded in my head before the test. So that was part of the math section, but there's also basic math. And what I did, a tool I used was YouTube. I just simply went on YouTube and I searched how to divide fractions, how to multiply fractions. And when I would look at those YouTube videos, I would also use an app called Math. This app would, of course, generate math problems of what you were exactly looking for. If you wanted to do, let's say, division, you hit this app and put division. So whatever, problem the app gave me, I would write it down on paper, and learning from the YouTube videos, I would try to solve that problem. And guys, I did this every single day all the way up until my test. I knew I did not want to fail. And now, after completing my aptitude test, I just left. And all you have to do from there on is just wait it out. You will receive a letter telling you if you passed or if you failed. And in that letter, it will also give you the information on when the interview will be. And I'm going to read it to you guys. Dear applicant, congratulations on passing the aptitude test portion of the application process. The next step in the process is the interview. Your interview will be conducted at the Plumbers and Pipefitters local. And down below it reads, your interview has been scheduled for July 18 of 2023 at 9:20 a.m. So that gave me an entire month to prepare for this interview. And now let's get into the last portion, which is the interview. Of course, I was going online, on Reddit, on anything, to find what kind of questions I was going to be asked, to prepare myself. And trust me, I was getting prepared to take this. As the days got closer, of course, I got nervous, anxious to get this over with. So the day of the interview comes. Of course, I dress casual. I think I was just wearing like a white sweater, some jeans, and some dress shoes. Nothing, crazy, just being casual. I saw some guys there with some flannels. I saw some guys there with, a button up. With that being said, just dress presentable. So I am there waiting. you know, the interviews actually weren't that long. I believe the interviews were 5 to 10 minutes because remember, guys, they are trying to interview many, many people. So, they want to do this literally in one day. I saw people come out the room. A guy actually told me, hey, man, good luck. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Now I'm even more anxious. So I asked the guy, hey, what kind of question did they ask you? So I could, maybe I'll get this asked the same question. So I asked him, hey, what did they ask you? And he said, well, they just asked me if, how were my grades in high school, were my grades good? Basically getting to know him. They asked him like, hey, were you late to school many times? Did you miss school many times? And then boom, it was my time. The training director said, hey, Alex, here's the room, go in. I'm a person who has a lot of faith. So I just said, God, if it's your will, ain't nothing gonna stop that. I walked into the room and I wasn't as nervous as I was. I was calm, collected. One of the things I was going into this room and with it in mind is, oh, I'm gonna go shake everybody's hand. But that was impossible because of the layout the room was. Going into this, I knew I was going to be interviewed by three contractors and three, members of the union. So I walked in. So I am sitting there with this layout that looks like the letter N, and you're basically at the bottom. So there's the letter N, and then you are at the bottom facing these guys. The first thing they asked me was, tell me about your trade school that you went to. And I told them, this was back in 2019 or 2018. I went to a trade school for 9 months. I took a little bit of plumbing experience. I told them that I went to trade school, for plumbing out in Connecticut, and told me, oh, that's good. That's good. So honestly, it felt like they were trying to get to know you as a person. I told them that that was back in, 2019 that I took that trade school. And I know it's been a few years, but I told them that this is it. They also asked me, if I've ever been late to work, if I missed many days of work. And I bet I was honest. You have to be honest in these things because these guys are trying to, they know when you're not being true. And of course, as people, we know we have issues. Sometimes emergencies come up. So I just said, I don't miss work because I want to. I miss work because I need to. They also asked me where I was from. And I said, hey, I live near here, like literally just 5 minutes away. They also asked me, hey, are you willing to travel far? Sometimes you would have to travel far for some jobs. And I said, that's not an issue. They also asked me how I was working at this warehouse. They're just trying to really get to know you as a person. So they were curious about the warehouse I was working in. They were like, oh man, how's working at that warehouse? And I told them, doing night shift, 60,000 packages a day, barely getting any sleep. I told him, yeah, the night shift can be brutal. And, I think at one point I made him laugh. Once again, these guys are trying to get to know you as a person. When I told him I lived nearby, he asked me, oh, do you own a home? And I had mentioned to him that me and my wife actually bought a home here. We have a daughter here. The union is looking for family oriented people in a way. People that have responsibilities, people that can't just up and just leave the union. They're looking for people, of course, who have bills to pay in a way. So my tip to you guys is if this question ever pops up, let them know that you are here for a reason. You are here to build a fulfilling career and support my family. In general, it just has to be you're here to grow, learn a life skill that you're going to use forever, support your family. One of the last questions that they asked me, it was out of the blue. I wasn't even expecting this question. Like I was so like let me say this. I overthought so much on this question. They asked me, what do you like to do on your free time? I honestly still don't know why I said this, but I said, on my free time, I like to do some social media marketing. And they looked at me like, huh? And I just simply like switched it up and said, I like to do YouTube. I'm someone who likes mountain biking. I'm someone who goes, loves hikes, who loves fishing. I just simply love the outdoors, kayaking. Oh, and they asked me, oh, what kind of YouTube do you have? I'm like, oh, I have a mountain biking channel. I like to explore trails in New England. And they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. So honestly, it didn't feel much like an interview, but they're just literally trying to get to know you as a person. So when you go into this interview, go as yourself, of course. Be honest, be calm and collected. Respond to them with confidence as well. And one of the last things they said was, do you have any questions for us? And I believe I asked a question about plumbing. And everybody just looked around the room like, oh, there's only one plumber here. So he answered the question that I asked. I believe the question was, what do you guys enjoy of your plumbing career? The guy giving the interview, he said, so you don't want to know about the pay? And he explained to me the pay breakdown. He showed me, how much I was going to make as time went on. I was like, oh, great. That's awesome. From there on, I got up, said, everyone have a great day. And I left. So I have the paper here. That interview, once again, was on July 18th. And then I received another letter on August 1st of 2023. And it says, on behalf of the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee, it is my duty to inform you that you have been placed as number 7 on the list of eligible apprentice applicants. So it said I will stay on this list placed on number 7 until I receive a call. With that being said, after the interview and after you get this letter of what number you're placed in, all you have to do is be patient. Your time will come. So on May 28, 2024 was my first day on a job. I really hope you guys found this video very informative. If you're out there trying to join this, just know to be patient and your time will come. Remember, guys, everything will be linked down below in the description. But for right now, guys, have a blessed day.